Hi, Stitchy friends. This is Heather, the 20-Minute Stitcher. I'm coming at you. Today is Sunday, August 13th. My daughter goes back to school in 4 days. The summer is over. Anyway, hi. Welcome to my channel about cross stitch. Buckle in. I have a lot for you today, even though it's been 2 weeks. I'm on my normal filming schedule. I have a lot more than usual to show you. So I'm really excited. Let's get right into it. I usually start with a brief life update. There's really not much to report. Work has been busy. Life has been good. This last week, my kids were with their dad. So that's one reason I think why I have a lot of stitching, because I was not responsible for transportation for a week. So that was a lot of time back in my life. And I spent most of it stitching. So let's get right into it. I have a little bit of everything today. I have FFOs, O's, plural. If you are regular viewers of my channel, which I should say, if you are new here, welcome. It's contained chaos half of the time. I have the best of intentions of being incredibly organized with my channel, and sometimes it's just kind of like today where I'm like, I just grabbed everything and let's just go. But I'm super excited. If you are a regular viewer of my channel, you know that I'm more of a process stitcher. I love to finish things, but I am not necessarily I have to finish this kind of person. Though I do have a hashtag going on now, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I do not frequently FFO things. I have a little box of finished projects that, like I said, I frequently do not FFO things. So the fact that I have an FFO to share is uncommon on my channel. I'll just put that out there. If you are new and you love to see FFOs, I hope you'll stick around because, you'll like my stitching, but you will not see a lot of FFOs on this channel. But today, plural, I have 4 FFOs, people. Who even am I? Okay. I have a finish. It's not FFO'd yet. And then I have several whips, lots and lots of whips. So let's just get right into it. So my FFOs, one of them, if you watched my video from my last episode, will not surprise you. It is my grow through what you go through stitch. So as you can see, thank you to those of you who commented. I got some great comments. We're going to talk about that in a second. I got some great comments about to stain it, to put pom-poms on it, to paint it purple, paint it pink, all kinds of great comments. So I ended up, as you can tell, deciding to paint it pink. You can also see, and I'm not a professional finisher, y'all, but that's okay because this is for me. I swear that it was centered on there before I flipped it over to glue it down. And obviously when I pulled it taut, I pulled it over a little bit. So it's not centered in there. I don't care. It's fine. But this is Grow Through What You Go Through by Stitchrovia. I stitched this on just some bone joblin that I had in my stash with DMC from my stash. This was a dollar bin frame from Michael's that I painted in the color Lisa Pink by some acrylic paint company that I just had on hand. And I ended up going with the pink in part because there's just such a tiny little bit of pink in the pattern. But also, again, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I am a breast cancer survivor. And one of the reasons I chose this pattern is because of my breast cancer journey, right? I could do a whole series of videos on what I went through as part of my breast cancer journey, not just related to my health, but my family, and things of that sort as well. So, for me, my cancer journey really was, an opportunity for growth. And I really do believe that I grew, through that journey and things that were brought to light as part of that journey and things of that sort. So there's my FFO for this. Grow Through What You Go Through by Stitchrovia. All right, FFO number 1. So story about my other 3 FFOs. So when I went to go finish my Grow Through What You Go Through, I said, I started finishing my Fa La La flat fold ages ago. Where is it? Like I remembered I had accidentally not cut enough pieces of the mat board. And so it kind of stalled because I needed to get more mat board. And I spent like an hour trying to find it. You know where I should have looked first? My big bin that says projects in process. Like it's literally labeled as projects in process. Anyway, I looked about 17 other places before I thought, hey, maybe I should look in there. And it was in there along with 2 other cross stitch patterns that I had started to finish and hadn't finished. And I went, what? I totally forgot about these. So I said, well, gosh, I'm going to finish them all. So first, I'm going to save that one for last because I'm very proud of it. So first is Peace, Love, and a Cure by Lizzie Kate. And again, just finished in a simple frame. Like, I don't know why these took me so long to get done. But this is Peace, Love, and a Cure by Lizzie Kate. I finished this in 2022. Like, this is how bad I am about FFOing things. But again, this was by Lizzie Kate. This is stitched on just an 18 count Aida. It's either 16 or 18 count Aida with the called for DMC flosses. And then also You Had Me at Meow, which, guys, I finished in 2021. I mean, seriously, why did it take me so long to get this framed? Especially because it's not like I did anything fancy. And this is just on a light blue Aida. I think I bought it at Michael's. Please don't ask me who the designer is. I don't remember. And I'm pretty sure I passed the pattern on this one. I think I gave it away early in my floss tube journey because, you know, I finished this 2 years ago. But now it's in a frame and it will sit somewhere in my house. I have yet to decide. And then my final FFO is my very first flat fold, you guys. It's not perfect. Not by a long stretch. But look how cute. Sorry, that was probably very high pitched for those of you wearing headphones. Okay, but first off, this pattern is adorable. I am in love with this pattern. This is by Bent Creek. I finished this at last year's StitchCon, so StitchCon 2022. I forgot to sign it, but I know when I finished it. And it was just on a piece of scrap linen that I had laying around. Again, not perfect, right? The border is not perfectly straight. That's okay. Again, I am not a professional finisher. The bigger thing is it's done and it can be out in my house during the season. So this is Fall La La by Bent Creek. And I just rated fabric. So you can see like this back mat board is not exactly the same size. Though I don't know why, because I measured it to the same size, but whatever. It's the back, so it's not. And I followed the flat fold instructional video from Fat Quarter Shop for finishing this. He's so cute. Okay. He's going to go right there right now while I'm finishing filming. So those are my FFOs. Then my finish, and it already is, I already have the interfacing on the back to turn it into a pillow. This is A Circle of Stitchers by Heart and Hand Designs. And this was a freebie from StitchCon 2022. And the story behind this one is, if you know this already, if you watch my channel on the regular, I had started this intending to make this a StitchCon 23, and it was going to be my smalls exchange for StitchCon this year. And I just wasn't feeling motivated to stitch it, so I ended up not participating in the smalls exchange this year, and I decided to just finish it for myself as a memento of my very first StitchCon year. And this again is just on scrap linen that I had in my house. And I stitched this with Gentle Arts Ribbon Red was the floss. All right. So many finishes. I'm so excited. So I'm kind of on an FFO like mindset now, so maybe I'll get more done. All right, let's jump into whips. So I have 6 whips that I have worked on in the last 2 weeks. So The first one is one of my August Whip Go calls. This is the Needleworker by Cottage Garden Samplings. Right, I'm sure you've seen these all over Instagram and Flosstube. This is their snowman series for this year. I am not stitching all of them. I have purchased this one and I have purchased the Scarecrow. And there are some others that are pretty cute, but I am kind of I've noticed I'm hitting a point in my stitching career where I'm not buying patterns anymore. I think I have so many patterns and I'm like, I'm still making my wish list. I'm still adding things that come out, but I am starting to feel the thought of purchasing a new pattern is starting to give me stress because of how many I already have in my stash, which I know some of you are saying, well, that's silly. Some of you are saying, yeah, I totally get that. And that's the beauty of this life, right? We all have what works for us. So this is the Needleworker. And this was one of my 12 for 12 starts. So I had a teeny tiny little start. I might have a picture. If I do, I'll put a picture up of where I was to start. Why don't I have a needle minder on this project? Okay. All right. Well, there's just going to be a needle in my fabric because I don't have a needle minder on this project. So we're going to need to remedy that. And please hold, I am pulling up my Notion because I do not remember what fabric I am stitching this on. We will see if I put it in my Notion because sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Let's see, the Needleworker. Of course I didn't because that would make too much sense. I think this is Vintage Country Mocha. But anyway, here is where I am at now. So I have not made a ton of progress. My Whip Go goal is to stitch on this for 6 days. I've stitched on it for 2. And you can see I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit. Like I added some more here on his bag. This is the sack, his little sack of goodness that he's carrying here. I went and worked on his cloak a little bit here. Started to fill in, not fill in, but do more of the outlining of the fur or the whatever that is, border, ruffle, edge of his coat. But that's where I am on the Needleworker. And I am stitching this, like I said, I think this is Vintage Country Mocha. I cannot believe I didn't write it down. What a doofus. And I'm stitching it with all the called for flosses. And need a needle minder on that. Okay. The next whip that I worked on is my retreat stitch for Chantel 141's Pep Rally in September. And this is the pattern. It is by Hands On Design. And this is not a secret pre-stitch. So you've been seeing it around Instagram a lot. So we have to have it done before the retreat. And oops, let me take it out of the hoop. Most of my projects are still in hoops because I'm actively working on them all. So, but this one was just in one of my little tension hoops. So easy enough to take off. And I'll move my little needle minder too. And this is where I am at now. So I believe the last time I showed this, I was working on these little pennies up here. Maybe I had started the alphabet, but I am now down on band B. So these little acorns, I'm just finishing the bottom border. And so I'm almost halfway done with this. I don't know what the linen is. It was all part of the kit that was sent to us as part of the retreat. But the flosses are all DMC. Okay, and this pattern, I know I held it up, but the name of this pattern is Four Seasons Folk Autumn. So again, not available to the public yet, but I'm sure will be at some point in time. My next whip is my Magic Kingdom Stitch Along. This one is staying in the hoop because of I have all the fabric already wound up and everything, but I will put a picture up of what this finished project will look like. This was a stitch along that I started in 2021 and then promptly abandoned for a while and have now come back to with focus. So I am, oh shoot, I probably do need to take it out of the hoop, don't I? Because my last video, I hadn't finished Beauty and the Beast yet. Okay. While I'm talking, I'm going to take it out of the hoop so I can show you Beauty and the Beast. So this one, if you are a returning viewer, know that I have decided to really focus on this. This is my oldest whip. And so I have set myself a goal of finishing one segment a month, which will have, if I am able to stick on that schedule, I will finish it then in either January or February of 2024. So I guess since I took it out of the hoop, here's the whole thing that I'm at right now. And here is what I have added since the last time you saw it. I finished the Beauty and the Beast square in July. So we'll kind of zoom in on that one. And I have started the Princess and the Frog square. Or I guess it's not really a square, segment. So this one is pretty simple as well. And this has been the challenge with this piece. So some of them, like Alice in Wonderland, had a gajillion color changes, lots of tiny little back stitching, kind of the same with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, a gajillion color changes. But then like Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and Princess and the Frog, a lot of block stitching, so they go much faster. And most of the blocks or segments that are left are more block stitching. So this is the scene, forget the name of the song, but when Ray the Firefly is singing, right? So up here is Evangeline and the little firefly hearts around it. So yeah, so I'm almost halfway done with this block already. All right, moving on. My next whip is my one and only full coverage piece. This is Drake Warrior Kitty, and Jennifer, the backcountry stitcher, is completely to blame for me stitching this because she was stitching it. She just finished it not too long ago. And every time, I have never felt any interest or desire to stitch full coverage. None at all. But every time she pulled her Drake Warrior Kitty out, my little heart melted, and I was like, I want to stitch that. No, I don't stitch full coverage. Oh, maybe I want to stitch that. Nope, I don't like full coverage. That would make me crazy. And then, of course, I bought it. I stitched it. It was my new year, new start. I stitched on it for like 35 minutes on New Year's Day. Like literally, I started it at 12:01 in the morning and stitched on it for a little bit and went to bed and never picked it up again until this past week. So brace yourselves. The progress is incredible. I'm being completely sarcastic. It's a teeny tiny little start. I have about 187 stitches total in this project. I am at 0.6% complete, but I did add some more stitches. So one of the reasons, just sort of explaining why you're like, wow, that's really like not a whole lot, but one of the reasons that I've never been interested in stitching full coverage before is I love watching other people's full coverage pieces come to life. But like the people that, what is it, the Royal Rose method or the Tower method, all of the hanging threads and the parking, like that stresses me out. Like I could not cope. That I just know that about myself. I am not like a neatnik necessarily, but I like things to be organized. And I know that the threads are organized, but they don't look organized. And like it stresses me out. I get that it's weird. I get some of you are like, you make no sense either. So that was one of the reasons why I was like, well, if that's how you have to stitch full coverage, I could never do full coverage because it would make me crazy. Plus all the confetti, blah. But like I said, Drake is adorable. I put the picture up already, I hope. If not, I'm putting it up now. So I actually am toying with the idea. I mean, obviously I'm only 180 something stitches in, but I think I'm going to try color completion, like a color completion approach or color completion to a point, right? So I'm not necessarily going to do all of this color because it's up in this corner, it's over in this corner, and it's kind of down the sides, but kind of like for the quadrant that I'm working in, I'm going to color complete, right? So maybe I'll color complete by page. I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring it out. This is just on a 28 count Monaco that is, I mean, you can see it is starched to within an inch of its life. I should have washed it before I started stitching. I might still soak it and try and soften up and get some of the starch out because it's kind of shredding my floss. Anyway, but All right, you all are like, okay, I'm tired of staring at this like amorphous blob of whatever random DMC color that is. But that is my Drake Warrior kitty. I have him stored in my Tiger Lily Designs project keeper, and I'm using my Adam Hart floss bobbins to store my gajillion colors of DMC floss. All right, 2 more. Bear with me. I'm actually making pretty good speed. So my next project is my other Whip Go Call, which is Friendship Basket by Hello from Liz Mathews. For those of you who have heard the story before, you can tune out for the next like 30 seconds. But if you're new here, I'll explain a little bit of a story about this. So this was a free pattern, so I believe it's okay for me to show it. But this is Friendship Basket by Hello from Liz Mathews, and this was a free pattern that she released shortly before StitchCon in 2022. And it was her thought of a cool way to have a retreat stitching piece. So basically you stitch the basket and part of the border, and then when you're at a stitching retreat, you ask your friends or people attending the retreat to add a motif to your basket. And she provides some sample motifs that people might choose to stitch if they want to. So StitchCon 2020 StitchCon 2022 was my very first cross-stitching retreat. So I thought, oh, I totally want to do this because I'm going to meet so many people. And I'm going to be able to meet the people from my cross-stitch chat for the very first time. I'm going to have them stitch on my basket and all these other people that I'm going to meet, which I met a ton of people, but I spent most of my time with my cross-stitch chat people. So my basket is not super full, but it has fun things. And then what I wanted to do was to be able to add like the StitchCon logo to the pattern. But the pattern itself is wider than the Friendship Basket chart. So I was going to have to do some recharting. So my Whip Go goal, all of that to say, my Whip Go goal for this piece, which was pulled in August, was to chart the StitchCon and stitch it and completely finish the project. So I sat down to start to rechart it, and it was making me crazy. So I made a decision that some of you might think is equally crazy. And I, at times, think that I was crazy for it. I am stitching the StitchCon logo as charted and given to us as a freebie at StitchCon 2022. But I am stitching it over 1. Because over 2, it was too wide. But over 1, it fits. And I actually really like how it looks. I have to get my magnifiers out to do it because this is a 32 count fabric. But I think it's going to look really awesome when it's done. So Ash, I don't think you watch Flosstubes, but if you do, and if you were watching me, you were right. So Ash told me at StitchCon last year, oh, you should just stitch it over 1. And I looked at them like they were crazy and said, I'm not stitching over 1 on 32 count. Are you crazy? So Ash, you were right. Thank you, friend. I think it's going to look really nice when it's done. So the official logo says StitchCon and it says 2022 above it, and it has a little needle and thread. I think I'm just going to stitch the word StitchCon because the pattern from Liz Mathews has 2022, like 20 and then 22, down at the bottom of the pattern. And I think I'm going to put it there because otherwise this is just a very open space. And then these are the little motifs that my friends stitched. And I have written on a piece of paper who stitched what. So my intention is to frame this, and then I'll put a stitching label on the back and write down, who stitched what of everything. So that is my progress on this. So definitely on track to meet my Whip Go goals for August, which is wonderful. I'm excited about that. So one more whip and friends, we're done because I don't have any acquisitions this week or this episode. So I participated on August 5th in the Friendstitch Halloween pop-up gathering hosted by Heart and Hand and Bent Creek. And I have sort of already put away all of the goodies and all of the patterns and things, but I know other people have shown them. If you want to see what was in the box, you can definitely find other Flosstubers or out on Instagram where people shared everything that was in the kit. But or everything that was in the box. The kit that was in the box was this Halloween Pop-Up Gathering Crow. I mean, how cute is he? He's adorable. So I actually started stitching on this during the retreat. And this is where I got to. So I haven't touched this since the retreat. So while the retreat was going on, I started this, and this is everything I got done. So I got his little feetsies done and started to fill in. I outlined his whole body, started to fill in the bottom. I got his little beak done. So really the rest of this will go quite quickly once I sit down to work on it again. But that is Crow, and it is on a 28 count flax casual linen. And it is all... So this is the palette for all 3 of the patterns that came in the Friendstitch box. So the Crow uses just black coffee and copper penny and colonial copper are the only 3 colors in the Crow. Oh, and the green. Sorry, I forgot about the green. The pine needles. So that's it. Those are all my whips. That's pretty much all I have for you this episode. As I mentioned, I don't have any acquisitions. I do have some things coming later this month, hopefully later this month. So I do have my Hearts for Pam box from Cottage Garden Threads. Those are supposed to ship towards the end of August. So they're shipping from Australia. So I probably won't actually have that till maybe even mid-September. And then I also have my Clue box from Forbidden Fiber Co. that's supposed to be shipping mid-late August as well. But yeah, otherwise, I'm really focusing on stitching from stash. I'm focusing on, even though none of these whips are anywhere near being finishes. Well, actually, that's not true. My StitchCon one is. I am still working on my Whip Down Sal 2023. If you are a returning viewer, you know about that. If you're new, let me explain it really quickly. Whip Down Sal actually was the brainchild of Michelle Bendy. And I wanted to also sort of put together a challenge to finish our whips because I went on kind of a starting spree in 2022 and a little bit at the beginning of 2023. And I have so many that are really close to being finishes that I want to just focus on them. So I set myself a challenge. I think I have 11 projects that I want to finish by the end of the year. And I invited my viewers who might also want to challenge themselves to finish a certain number of projects to let me know. So we're kind of making it a fun challenge. And then Michelle Bendy and all of her awesomeness invited me to just hop onto her Whip Down Sal 2023 and kind of co-host that with her. So that is the hashtag that we are using, hashtag Whip Down Sal 2023. But the piece that I am adding to it is if you want a little reward for reaching your goal, right? There's a link in the description below. I have a Google form open. All you have to do is give me your name and the number of whips that you want to finish by the end of the year. This is a totally honor system kind of thing. And then in the beginning of January, I'm going to invite those of you who set a goal, right? And let me know what that goal is, to let me know whether you achieved that goal. And if you did, you're going to get a little tiny reward, handmade reward from me. Haven't fully decided what that is yet, but it'll be something relatively small, but something that you'll be able to look at and say, yes, this was I met my goals for finishing some whips in 2023. So if you want to participate, again, all you have to tell me right now is your name and the number of projects. I don't need to know what they are, none of that. And then again, it's all honor system. I'm not going to be like checking your Instagram feeds or anything to see, okay, they said they wanted to finish 8. Did they? This is all about just having fun, finishing our whips, and being part of this awesome community. So if you would like to participate, the link is in the description below, and let's work on finishing our whips. All right, friends, that's all I have today. I hope that you are all enjoying your August. For those of you with littles going back to school already or soon, it's amazing how many of my friends have already posted like first day of school pictures. I'm like, wow, some of these schools start so early. And people think that my kids' schools start early. But for those of you who have littles going back to school soon, good luck. with that transition. I know sometimes, especially if it's a big year, like first year of middle school or first year of high school or first year of college, sometimes there's a higher level of anxiety and nerves that go along with that. So I wish you all the best with that transition time. And as always, take care of yourselves, hug your loved ones, and happy stitching. I'll see you soon. Bye.